It's the O Show, the show with the O. It's the O Show, the show with the O. We talk and talk and talk and talk, then we talk some more. It's the O Show, the show with the O. It's the O Show, the show with the O. It's about unconditional self-acceptance, yeah. And sometimes we discover things we did not know. At the O Show, at the O Show.
Hello and welcome to the O Show. We're here at Tate Britain's at the Queer and Now event to launch the Pride in London Festival. And we're here to explore the provocative and stimulating topic of female masculinity. So excited, there's supposed to be something that's going to happen.
Audience participation.
Female masculinity! Nearly 20 years ago, the queer theorist Jack Halberstam asserted that female masculinity was not merely a bad copy of the real deal, but an important entity in its own right. Masculinity without men, he argued, threw the connection between sex and gender into turmoil. So let's give it up for gender turmoil. Despite the countless ways that female masculinity can be expressed, and let me tell you, the possibilities are endless, it continues to remain a largely invisible phenomenon. But we're here today to celebrate the experience and expression of female masculinity and give it a little more airtime. We have a fantastic show for you today with a lineup of 3 amazing artists, each who will bring their own unique perspective to the topic. We have the boyish and inquisitive performance artist Lucy Hudson. We have the talented actor and drag king Temmie Wilkie, who performs in and co-founded PEX, the collective, and a couple of their boys are in the building. And we have the legendary and incredibly intersexy Della Grace Volcano. Now, I'd like to kick off our investigation into female masculinity with a little audience participation. So I hope you're up for it. Who here identifies with the term female masculinity? I need some kind of mic for the audience. Oh, there we go. Thank you. So, someone raise your hand high if you identify. Does anyone prefer masculine of center? The more au fait term? Nobody here identifies with it. You all just came because you were just interested as an academic exercise. Okay, great. So wonderful. You know, female masculinity, it's just so darn inclusive. And it's so great to see such a diverse community with us in the house. I don't need this. But no doubt some of you are wondering what my personal take is on the topic, why it's so important to me. Well, as a feminist, I became very interested in it because I've given a lot of thought to appearance. Clearly, I've given some thought to my appearance. I fall on the femme side of things, but I make no claims that what I look like lines up perfectly with my internal sense. Well, maybe I have in the past, but I was just joking. I mean, answer me this. How can it be that who you perceive before you today could line up seamlessly with who I am on the inside? I am an ever-changing constellation of qualities, and it's impossible to give my whole self, my entirety, or even my gender a single rating. I'm far too complex for that. But I'm also a talk show host. And, you know, you can sue me for wanting to look the part. I need the ratings. But seriously, the truth is, I haven't always been the confident and poised talk show host you see before you today. I used to be shy and introverted. I walked around dressed as if I was invisible. But thanks to a lineup of queer and feminist artists, I have transformed myself. If it weren't for the artists on today's show, I wouldn't be who I am today. If it wasn't for their critical attitudes, I would be out there somewhere right now aerobicizing, or weighing up, sucking in, maybe leaning in. Or I'd be endlessly combing and plucking and accessorizing and placating. I'd be relieved on those occasions when meeting the feminine ideal entailed, lying around with my eyes closed. I'm thinking, when I'm lounging Venus-like as a recipient of the gaze. But I'm far too actively desiring for that. Regardless, running around trying to measure up to other people's ideals is exhausting. But thanks to feminist and queer artists, I'm able to accept myself as imperfect, but not defective. I am no longer a slave to conventions. And it's those conventions I choose to put under the microscope of my incessant critical gaze, rather than my bikini line. Each of the 3 fantastic artists I have on the show today have gone on their own respective journeys towards self-knowledge and expression, with the shared goal of changing not just themselves, but the world. So, without further ado, let's see for ourselves exactly how Pecs Kings can stir up some of that gender turmoil I was talking about earlier. Please put your hands together for Pecs Kings, Drag King Cole and Thrustin Limbersnake. guest today is someone who I'd probably have on the show just because of her boyish charms. But she's also a world-renowned performance artist. She's shown in venues including Toynbee Studios here in London, the Marlborough in Brighton, and I'm going to forget the name, the Aaron's Art Center in New York City. Her work is highly personal and wrestles with gender. So please welcome Lucy Hudson. Thank you so much for being on the show.
It's a pleasure.
Since, not everyone is familiar with your work, I thought if you could just share something about the couple of performance pieces you've done.
The gender ones.
Yeah, the gender ones.
Yeah. So there's 2, and then some spin-off cabaret acts that I ripped off of those shows. But so the first one was called "If You Want Bigger Yorkshire Puddings, You Need a Bigger Tin," which is because my aunt and my mum argued about who could make the biggest Yorkshire puddings. And then my mum found in my aunt's cupboards deeper Yorkshire pudding tins, and now they're equal now. Because often my titles don't really match anything to do with the show. But I made this show because I was thinking a lot about my own gender expression. And I just got to this point where I just became a bit obsessed about it. Like I was thinking what sort of pronouns I should use. Should I take any kind of hormone? Should I do this? Like really just trying to think about all the stuff. And I think the easiest way to think about things and make decisions is to do some research and development. So I made a show about it.
I agree completely.
And I'm so shy.
That's okay. I'm shy too.
So the plan was I was going to investigate how to make myself into the perfect feminine homemaker mother figure. And I went to the Women's Institute. And I read Good Housekeeping magazine every fucking month. It takes a month to read it, and then you've got another one. And so there was that one. And then, because it's autobiographical performance, they don't have the longest shelf life, because then you sort of move on to thinking about other things and kind of slightly change what you want to talk about. And the small kind of stories about everyday life are now 2 years ago's everyday life. So I made a new show called Bound, which is... that was about breasts a lot. I was thinking about breast binding a lot at that time. And now I hardly never bind my breasts, only when I do that show. But it was about that.
Yeah. You, in the piece, you describe wanting to feel like your breasts are your own, or that they're equivalent to a man's chest.
Yes.
And you describe puberty and finding it really what are these strange appendages growing? And I really identified with that, because I also had that kind of, you know, because I had older brothers, I didn't have any model for what was going to happen to me. And so, yeah, it was interesting, because I know you have an older sister, so I thought, it's interesting that you had that experience too.
Yeah, I think probably a lot of people have that experience. But I think there's, when I was thinking about how I don't like these breasts, for me, I just read it all through the fact that I was a boyish-looking woman. And so I sort of contributed to that. And I think there's other things as well that I contribute to me being androgynous-looking, when actually there are probably a lot of women with quite feminine-looking looks feel the same way as well. I think that a lot of people have similar things, similar worries that I've had. And I noticed that because I did a one-on-one where I taught people to weave, and I asked them about their femininity. And there was just women who I just assumed I was just loads different from women. And then I did that show, and loads of these women were saying the same fears and worries and complaints that I had.
But I thought it was like, it seemed to me like a contradiction, the whole binding thing. Like, if you want them to be your own and like a man's chest, why binding?
Yeah,
Why bind them?
I think it was just like, I don't really understand what I'm meant to do with these. They don't really fit in any of my clothes that well.
Yeah, what do you like
I
to
just
wear?
have them off. Just take them off. Just get rid of it. But this is my wedding shirt that I'm wearing today to get interviewed in. So I normally wear slightly less fancy shirts, but generally just like this sort of thing. I don't
And
know
yeah,
people
what
call
about
that
at the
question.
beach and...
Oh yeah, so those are the points, I think, really. The swimwear, wedding clothes and funeral clothes are the points where women who wear some masculine clothes normally often will then go for the dress and the swimming costume. These are like the tip over point moments of dressing like a man, I think. But yeah, so I just wear a suit and I have like the really dykey-ish swimming costume with big shorts and like a tank top that's much bigger than it really needs to be to cover my breasts.
So, you mentioned that you do some spin-off cabaret pieces. There's
Yeah.
one that I know about where you dress kind of effeminately,
Yeah.
present yourself quite effeminately. Could you tell us about that piece?
Yes, because this is like my shining moment of my life, this cabaret piece. It was brilliant. And I only ever did it once, and I'm never going to do it again. But it was brilliant. And it took... So the simple premise is I come out looking like a lady, prance about a bit sexily, then take off some clothes, pull out some bandages from my vagina, bandage up a bit, and then by the end of it, I'm sort of masculine and also sexy. But I did it in like this sort of workshop thing, and it failed so badly. And then I tried to do it somewhere else, and it failed really badly. And I got someone, Ursula Martinez, to direct it, and she worked with me so hard, like hours and hours, and she wanted me to like dance like a woman, but I can't dance like a woman, so I just had like positions, womanly like positions.
Like voguing type?
No, just like one position. And then I don't know if I could do it now, and then I kind of look. And then I would move around the chair and then be in like another sexy position. And then, you know, once I started looking more masculine, I didn't need to worry so much. And then someone else did my makeup, someone else sorted out my wig. Like it was this huge, huge team effort. And I looked feminine, like proper feminine for like a minute and a half. And that was the last time I looked feminine.
So, I want to just go back to a point though about your bound piece, and something you say in it about the first time you wore drag, or
Yeah.
the second time, where you didn't have a beard put on or something, and you just kind of dressed in drag. Without a beard, and you said that it took away all your shame, like all your years of shame were just erased. So, just wondered if you could say more about that.
Okay, so I'll tell you the story of shame.
Yeah.
So I reckon it went kind of like, up until about 13, I didn't give a fuck at all about if people thought I was a boy or a girl, and I just like run around. And then I just wanted to like fit in a bit more. And I used to get upset when my nickname was Bloke, and I used to get really, really upset about it. And then I tried to wear skirts, and I just looked like an idiot. And it was just never really worked. And I tried to wear makeup, and well, I guess if I'd put more effort into learning how to do it properly, it might have started to look better. But I only gave it like a couple of weeks go. And then I left school, and I knew I would do this as soon as I left school. I stopped shaving my body hair, and I came out as being gay. And then bit by bit, I became less and less worried about people thinking I was a man. Like slowly. And I used to wear skirts over my trousers, because this was the 90s and early 2000s. This was the fashion. And I took them off. I took a real tentative step, taking them off and just wearing the trousers underneath. And for me, that was just like this massive thing. And I don't think anyone else noticed at all. And it gradually got. But I was still like, I still had like these kind of feelings that, do you know what it is, actually? I know what it is I wanted to look attractive. And in my head, for me to look attractive, I would have to look feminine. And then also, and then so I wore this outfit this day that I didn't have like massive drag up beard or something. I looked like me in the mirror, but I had all the stuff, and I'd got a fresh haircut and that. And I thought, do you know what, actually? Do you know what, Hudson? You're not looking that bad. It's all right. And then I was like, okay, well, I can just look attractive and look like a boy. And then I think, it's just really kind of vain, I guess. All my shame of looking like a boy. But then now I'm really happy. And I don't mind getting mistaken for a boy. And it is annoying because I think when people mistake me for a boy, they think I'm a child. So and I'm living in Essex now, and I think in Essex, it's so much worse than in London. Like, I just get ID'd all of the time. And yesterday, the guy gave me I got a child's price haircut.
That's good. That's good.
Cost me
so
£6.
some benefits to that. Yeah, speaking of context, would you say that some of your ability to just rid yourself of any shame about being attractive is down to the change of context between then and now, and what's considered attractive now?
Oh yeah, well I guess that'd be hard to quantify, but it must be some, because it is so much more seen as an acceptable and attractive thing now, androgynous women. And I couldn't imagine that when I was at school. And it wasn't that long ago, I guess. I wasn't at school that long. Maybe it was 18 years or something. But it just has changed a lot since then, I guess. That has to be a factor of how comfortable I am with it. I was reading a thing that popped up on Facebook a while ago about privilege within androgynous looking women and it was just basically saying that I am privileged in this sector for being white and thin. And it was just odd. Well, I mean, it's not odd because that's things that get to be privileged and stuff, but just to be thinking of it in a way of being written about like that and going, okay, yeah, from being just really wishing that I could look a little bit different or look a lot different. That's quite a change in 18, 19, 20 years.
Yeah, it's amazing. Thank you so much for your candor. That's all we have time for with Lucy right now, but she's going to be back in the second half. And so if you have any questions for all three of our guests, keep them and come back to the second half. And we'll see Lucy again then. So let's give her a round of applause. Thank you. My next guest is a wee 24 years old, but she's already acted in the Royal Shakespeare Company, and she's co-founded her own drag king collective, Pecs, who performed for us earlier. Please join me in welcoming Temmie Wilkie.
What we got to say, fight the power. What we got to say, fight the power.
It's really great to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a bit more about how Pecs started and what your kind of hopes were for the collective?
It started with a question mainly, we didn't know what a drag king was. I remember being on the tube and for some reason thinking about drag queens and thinking what, I don't know what the female version of that would be, or someone presenting masculinity, what would that look like? And then I was at a party with my friend Celine, and I said to her, I really want to start a drag show, and she said, let's do it. And so 2 weeks later, we were in her kitchen, thinking about who to invite to a workshop, looking up drag kings in San Francisco and in LA, I think there was definitely a drag king scene in London at the time, but we just didn't know anything about it. And so I think unlike a lot of other drag kings at the time, rather than like getting involved in the scene, we sort of like just gathered a group of women and like worked together on what we thought it could be. And the hopes for it were just that it would, I guess, like at the time, like it wasn't so much a reaction against like drag queens at all, but like I think some of like, I've since seen like amazing drag queens, but at the time, initially I hadn't seen that many, and like a few of the performances that I'd seen had kind of alienated me, and I felt like they were kind of appealing to a male gaze, and a straight male gaze actually. Like it felt like they were often kind of like, "Ooh, like isn't it weird that you find me attractive?" Like rather than like really inviting a female audience's participation in it, and like it felt like sometimes there were a lot of misogynistic tropes with like the cattiness and like the bitchiness, which I just didn't like. I didn't associate that with my femininity, and so I think part of the hope for it was to kind of create a female gaze, and for like that to definitely include men as well, but it being like we're feminizing you and you are the subjects of desire rather than the objects of desire. Like you are, like we're being sexy for you, and in presenting our masculinity. Yeah.
Yeah. In trying to make something for like, specifically female gaze, did you think about like how other people, you know, not female identified would respond, or do you have a sense of how they respond?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, yeah, as I said, like...
Like, do you deflect the male gaze? Do you succeed at deflecting it?
I think, like, we definitely didn't want people to feel like we felt in some, like, drag queen performances. We didn't want people to feel alienated if they didn't identify as a woman. Like, and so whether you're a cis male, whether you're, like, non-binary, like... Well, especially if you're non-binary, like we wanted like you to feel really included in that gaze. And so I guess like we have like really interesting reactions specifically from like cis straight men, because they're often like, I feel so confused, like I have a man crush on you, and like things like that. And so I think like beyond gender, if like drag can ever go beyond gender, which I don't know if it can. I'm standing here, like sitting here right now with like a male face on. But like, I think we were sort of trying to do something about sexuality, and I feel like a lot of it comes from, like, being pansexual or bisexual, depending on how I want to present myself on that given day. Like, it's about showing that you can be attracted to anyone, given how they're presenting themselves, given how they're presenting their sexuality. So it isn't about deflecting anyone's gaze. It's about everyone feeling included in a gaze that embraces gender fluidity and like smashing the gender binary.
Yeah. Great. How did you develop your particular character, Drag King Cole?
It's really hard to reflect on it because it felt really organic. Like, I think we started off with like physicality, and that was something that like the whole group did. So like we started from like identifying parts of your physicality that like people might read as feminine, and identifying parts of your natural physicality that people might read as masculine, and then like pushing it to one end of the spectrum and then pushing it to another end of the spectrum. So like I think for me a lot of it came from the physicality. Like that's kind of how I found who he was. But then like it's funny because when you do workshops, which we started doing, like we have like a long list of like psychological questions that are like what is the name of like his first pet, or like where did he grow up, like stuff like that. And like that kind of thing, like it doesn't develop organically in the same way that you sort of feel it instinctively with physicality. Like that kind of thing, like for some reason you just know the answer. Like it's a really weird thing where it like erupts out of you and it's like he grew up in Chicago, Illinois, like that, and that's just a fact. So yeah.
So I know that PECs do workshops, so could you tell us a bit more about the workshops?
Yeah. They are for budding drag kings, like anyone who is interested in performing masculinity. And as I sort of said, like with how we developed our drag kings, it was kind of like through physicality, but then we also work on voice, and we also work on like psychological realism, I guess, because I think that's something that is interesting about PECS. I think because a lot of us came into it through theatre, there's like another avenue of it, so like stuff like those questions and like other exercises, and then also makeup, unbinding and packing and all of those bits. But yeah, I think it came out of a sense that, like I said earlier, we're quite unique in that we were a group like that were just interested in drag kings and then developed something within ourselves.
So there are 8 of you all together, and you do a variety of forms of entertainment. Could you just say a little bit more about like the kinds of things that each PEC does? Just to kind of give people a flavor.
Yeah. So it's like a sort of variety show, cabaret show. It consists normally of like songs, lip syncs, like you saw earlier, dance routines. We've got like a hilarious compare. It has grown more and more political over the years. It is, I guess, like a fuck you to the patriarchy, a fuck you to the gender binary, a fuck you to capitalism, a fuck you to everything that's horrible about the systems in which we grow up and are conditioned and are oppressed. But also is really fun. But it's also like, I mean, I feel whenever I say that, it sounds like it's really like, which it is, but also it's really entertaining and really doesn't take itself very seriously, but also takes itself very seriously at the same time and is silly as well as serious in equal measure.
So, as if that weren't enough to get out of it, I'm wondering, what do you get out of it personally? How has becoming a drag king affected your life personally? Or doing being part of that collective? How has it affected you?
I think, personally, I feel like I always answer this question the best way through looking at other people in the company, because like my friend Izzy, whose drag king is called Izzy Aman, she feels like her character has made her take up more space, and has just made her much more physically, she feels herself doing the man spread on the tube and just taking up more space as she travels around, which I found really interesting. But when I think about myself, I feel like it's less about how drag King Cole influences me day to day, because I really feel like he's kind of an alter ego. I'm saying this with his makeup on at the moment, which is kind of weird, but until maybe last week, I didn't really feel comfortable in face, as myself, but I had a breakthrough, so that's nice. But what was I saying? Yeah, I feel like it's a group of women, cis women, who are all really comfortable with their hairy legs and hairy armpits, and also it helps our practice. Whenever I haven't done my upper lip, it's oh great, I've got something to mascara, so it looks really good this week, yes, and that's really amazing, because there are times, I think specifically in another part of my life as an actor, I feel I need to look really feminine, I need to have really crispy threaded eyebrows or whatever, whereas it's really amazing to be able to embrace the natural parts of yourself and the way things grow, and that be helpful for your performance of something. That's one way. But I think there's lots of other ways. It's really hard to, because it is a part of yourself, and it has been in the formative parts of my growing up. I think we started it when I was 19. Wow. 20 or whatever, or 21 or whatever. But yeah.
Just to go back to what you're saying about PECS being an avenue to explore, political and critical and social issues. And I just wondered if you could say a little bit just about how you think drag, if there's any way you think drag in particular lends itself to political critique.
Yeah. Well, I think we've sort of described drag as both one of the best forms of entertainment and a serious piece of protest. Just in its very nature, you are defying social conventions by adopting a gendered performance, like by even just suggesting that gender is performative, like that is a political act. And so I think it lends itself to like political critique, like in its very nature, like by the fact of what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's thank you so much for sharing so much. And yes, let's just give a round of applause to Tammy Wilkie. Thank you so much for coming. Welcome back. This is the O Show on female masculinity. And I'm really, really thrilled to bring on my next guest, who is a groundbreaking visual artist whose very way of being in the world is a public intervention. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Del La Grace Volcano. Okay. Now, a lot of people here, I'm sure, are very familiar with your work and have therefore seen quite a few of your bits. Or you include quite a few of your bits.
Yes, this is true.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, when do you like to have privacy?
Yeah. Well, I'm a kind of public person, but when I'm taking a crap on the toilet, plucking my nose hair, those are the times that privacy is really important to me. But otherwise, you know, I think living, there's so many teachable moments that come up in my life. I feel compelled to share them.
Great, so could you go on and...
But not in the toilet. Okay, never mind. A little toilet humor. You guys like that, right? This is good. Okay.
So, yes, could you share with us your Herm story as a non-binary intersex being?
Yes, my Herm story. Well, that would take a lot longer than 25 minutes. So what I can say is I was assigned female at birth. I did my best to live up to that assignment for 36 years. I adjusted my gender in 1996 because I can't see you all. I feel like I need to be closer. Thank you. I let my beard grow. I discovered I was intersex, or intersexy, as I like to say. And, you know, so my sex is intersex, and my gender is non-binary. And my life experience is fabulous.
Can you say a little bit more about your childhood and...
I was conceived in Kansas City, but born in California in 1957, year of the fire rooster. Now some call that year of the cock, and that's true too. I have been known to like a bit of a cock-a-doodle-doo. I come from a long line of waitresses and Avon ladies, a sidestep away from what some call poor white trash and what I call the working class. Yeah, and the first time, well, in 1960s, no, when I was 11, I applied for a job to deliver newspapers. And I was told that you needed a penis to be eligible to deliver papers. When I was 17, I was arrested on a nude beach in Santa Barbara, California. And when the cops told me to put my top on, because I did put my pants on like everybody else, I refused. Because I said, unless you make every man and boy on this beach put their top on, take me to jail, take me away. And so they did. fined me half the usual fine, and needless to say, that was a fine I would never pay. So it's kind of like that. I basically said I knew from a very early age that the world was an especially hostile place for those assigned female at birth, and that it was up to me to say so, because silence has never been an option I've been able to exercise.
Can you tell me about your relationship to the topic of the show?
Yeah, I can. Should I give a trigger warning? No, it's about sex, baby. I started photographing people when I was like a young baby dyke in San Francisco. And by people, I mean the people who mattered to me, which were the hot, sexy dykes in San Francisco, mostly those who were exhibiting signs of what we are calling female masculinity. But I was more interested in ambiguity, and I am a butchophile. I pretty much, most of my relationships have been with women who identify as butch or are on the trans-masculine spectrum. But, I didn't know, it's like, do I want to be it or do I want to have it? And, why do you have to choose one or the other? I wanted both. And I like to think that, I can embody a certain element of visual pleasure and disobedience at the same time. I got way off the topic. Sex, right. I'm attracted to masculinity when it comes from a female body. Or I would say a body that is not male.
So I know you have co-authored a book with Jack Halberstam on drag kings. So I'm wondering, how did you two hook up?
Hook up, yes. Well, I tried very hard for that hookup. But, I'm not Jack's type. Anyway, we met at the London Lesbian and Gay Film Festival. Was anybody there at the first Drag King show in London? The Drag King contest in London? Anybody there? Are you all that young? It's not that long ago. So I was doing like this kind of Gary Glitter before he got caught, kind of, leather daddy thing, but I had I almost wore, I found the t-shirt, much too small, big flying cock Alex Benny tattoo. Anyway, so I was doing this kind of thing where I was giving it a bit of Swedish. You know what that is? I was doing this, trying to sing and dance, which I totally cannot do. So it was hysterically like, I love Lucy, I'm so embarrassed for you, funny. But I didn't win. Jack likes to let me know I was the biggest loser in that. And I'm like, I'll accept that, because I did not want to model this, there it was about realness and modeling a certain kind of stereotypical, conventional masculinity, and obviously that's not me. So I lost. Yay, me. Okay. You all are so nice looking.
You have kind of a larger-than-life personality, and there's very little that is private, other than what you explained already. So how do you think you came to be so bold? Have you always been this way?
Okay, well...
I mean, you kind of said that.
Yeah, so should we talk about hormones or astrology? Astrology, thank you. Okay, so I am a Leo. Big surprise there, right? But I'm a kind of super Leo, because I'm Leo rising, Mercury, Mars, Pluto, Venus, and Uranus, Uranus, I won't do a bad joke there. Uranus in Leo, but I have a sensitive Cancer moon, so be nice to me. My mother would, when people walk by, she would baa like a sheep at them. She would bleat, baa, because she let us know that they were just going to work and doing a 9-to-5 job, and how boring is that? And, remember, I'm from the working class, so it's not like we were looking down on working people, but we did look down on people who unquestioningly followed the rules. So my mother was a nonconformist, closeted, bisexual, Wicca feminist type, you know, from California. First pot I ever smoked, she grew, but that is incidental and not important for this conversation. So, yeah, I came from, I mean, I also, my father's side is Mormon Republican and lives in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So you couldn't kind of get more polarized. But he never tried to control me. And the one thing I remember my Mormon father telling me when I got brought home from the police for like climbing on top of roofs or something, he said, just do what you like, but don't get caught. Now, what a great life lesson. So I was I mean, it was also very, very dysfunctional. I was a teenage runaway, blah, blah, blah. I have a long sob story that I will be sharing with you in Memoirs of a Pussy-Licking Sodomite.
We all look forward to that one.
I hope so, but are they going to let me keep the great title?
So, how do you think people perceive you? And, yeah. Do people perceive you the way you perceive yourself, the way you feel yourself to be?
It really depends on the company, because clearly in this kind of space, I'm like, you know, people like me. They like what they see, they like what I'm doing, and I feel loved. Out in the real world, you know, I'm probably gonna, you know, I'm really happy. This was like 6 pounds. Okay, it was 60 crowns. It was in Sweden. I got it. But I'm really happy that in queer spaces, I can be who I am. I can be seen as intersex, as non-binary. People read it, right? But out in the world, I'm like, you know, because I did get queer bashed in 2004 for being a gay man. So I don't really feel safe in London anymore to wear the kind of clothes, I mean, that I used to wear. Yeah, so I think that I don't feel completely comfortable being myself in the world. And I think it's their problem, but the problem is that they can hurt me. And I'm realizing that I'm not 6 foot tall. And that people do not perceive me as the giant I perceive myself to be. So threatening people or even responding to a threat can be dangerous, right? Yeah, okay. Sit down.
As you were saying before about the whole wanting to be and have, when did you start to cultivate a more masculine appearance, and why?
Do I have a masculine appearance?
Well, you've told me in the past that you started to grow out your...
Yeah, but I mean, come on, let's not call beards masculine.
Okay.
Please, this is not a masculine beard. I mean, and maybe it's not a feminine beard either, but you know, I knew that I had facial hair. My facial hair started coming in when I was 14. I plucked it in secret and shame, even though I say I was missing when the shame cards were being handed out. That is not exactly true. My body did not develop from puberty along ordinary female lines. So I went out to inspect other females to see how I was different. I really, really wanted to grow up to be a lesbian, because all of the women in my mother's, you know, 70s consciousness raising group, they were lesbians, and I had a crush on them. So I wanted to grow up to be a lesbian, which I knew that you had to be a woman, right? Back in those days, in the old days, you had to be a woman, or having been born with a certain kind of whatever. So I tried really hard for 36 years to live up to that. And I simply let go of that. I let my beard grow out, thinking it would give me an edge at this drag king contest, the one and ever, which it totally did not. I had that realness. It didn't make any difference. So I guess it was a lover. It was actually Simo who fancied me. A few of my lovers really were like, you know, just give up this top gig you got going on here. And I started, my gender expression did become more masculine for a time. We made a film. Has anybody here ever seen pansexual public porn? Also known as The Adventures of Hans and Dell. Well, Hans and I, who is a trans guy, we went out and Hampstead Heath, Duke's Mound and Stedland Bay. Anybody here know those places? Any cruisers here? Okay. So we went out and we had sex with guys on camera then and there. And, you know, mostly they're expecting people with penises, not dicklets. So that was fun.
Yeah, actually, my next question was about passing as male, and you kind of touched on that in the last anecdote there.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, but I think it's a problem. I think butch dykes, who are, you know, what I call female masculinity is anything that is basically, it's an oxymoron, just like lesbian cock, which was the title of a photograph Derek Jarman bought off me, actually. And lesbian cock is an oxymoron in the same way that female masculinity is an oxymoron, right? And do we really know what those things mean? It's like, you know, I have 2 kids, and when my mother-in-law says, you have to not neglect the boy things. I'm like, oh, what are those things? What are those things? Oh, Mika rides a bicycle, so therefore, is that a boy thing? Mika plays Lego. We label that a boy thing. Mika likes long, beautiful hair and beautiful clothes. Is that a boy thing? No, that's a girl thing. So why separate it? And I refuse to label colors, clothes, activities, anything as male or female. I think that this non-binary kind of revolution that seems to have finally been here, I've been waiting 20 years, thank you, is great. Because I think it will have substantive, real-life consequences both for intersex people who are forced at birth to conform if their bodies do not conform and are genitally mutilated. It will have positive consequences for us if you don't always have to say, this is going to be a good heterosexual cisgendered person. So I think the more people like me and like many of the people in this audience that are able to mix it up in whatever way, the better. I mean, even you, Oriana, are mixing it up somewhat.
You think?
Yeah. You look very queer.
Oh, good. That's good. How do you feel on those occasions when you are being, or can you tell when you're being perceived as male, and how do you feel about that?
Well, first of all, I always try to have at least 1 or 2 signifiers that will distance myself from masculinity and will show that at least I'm, you know, and I'm, you know, let's face it, I am too short to be an alpha male, but I'm still a white male who is, you know, I'm given privileges. So if somebody serves me before a woman, for example, then I will point that out, that they're doing that. There's many ways in which I try to deprivilege the masculinity that I'm given. That's one way. Just having a fabulous gender non-conforming expression that is kind of like it's not a costume. This is what I wear. I have more skirts in my wardrobe than I do pants.
When I was preparing for this show, I was given advice that I shouldn't include trans men because it's female masculinity. What do you think about that?
Well, I understand how some people who are identifying as trans men or just men, that they could find it like, you know, they don't want to have their gender choices parodied. And maybe they're triggered by drag kinging, I don't know. I'm like, lighten up, basically. That's my advice, is lighten the fuck up. It's like, we're all part of this world, and we do not need to make, you know, into this world that is increasingly fucked up and dangerous and, you know, needs to be challenged. We need to be disobedient. We need to disobey. And I think there's many ways we're going to do that. But I think to pick it like, you know, I don't know, there's too much. I don't want to sound like that person whose name rhymes with rump. But, you know, there is some kind of political correctness or being very careful that I'm not accustomed to. This idea of trigger warnings and, you know, it's like being, in my book, being triggered, having a little bit of trauma is a great way of growing. You know, up to a point, there is a line between, you know, experiencing things and being triggered and being abused and being disrespected, right?
So earlier we had a like, oh, which one should we do? Astrology or testosterone or
Yeah, hormones.
or hormones? So yeah, can we do hormones now?
I have a lot. I have a lot of them. I am like a hormone factory. I've been doing low doses of testosterone for 20 years, but it does not suppress my, you know, estrogen. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna tell you, they still can't figure it out. I've been in MRI scanners, everything else. The best they can do is that my body produces a lot of hormones, and I've learned to balance them with a low dose of testosterone, which probably does give me a slight muscular advantage as well as a lower voice, and people respond better. People will listen to you more. Do you know this, people? A lower voice gets more attention. That sucks. Della Grace had a lovely voice, if anybody remembers that. I made so much money on the phone with Della Grace's voice. Not sex, food, but that's okay. Anyway, I'm only standing up because I really want to see all you back there too, because I like to.
I want to ask you, do you think there's a question I need to ask you that I haven't asked? I wanted to ask you, I was going to ask you, what makes a man?
Yeah. Like I said, I have two creatures, both who are registered as male at birth. And that is a question. You know, what I know is that if they're going to be men, then I want them to be the kind of men that I can bear to be around. They must be intelligent. They must be feminist. They must question their own privilege. And my kids, they have a lot of privileges, you know, able-bodied, white, trilingual, male with penises, because there is distinctions made between men with penises and men who don't have penises on the pecking order. So that is a question. Do I want to make men? Not really, no. But do I want to make people who are like compassionate, responsible, gender warriors? Yes, and I'm doing a really good job. In a way, I am making people to be good men, because for all, like I say, resistance is fertile, and if you're queer and you want to parent, do it. And if you don't, definitely do not do it. But if you do want to do it, then who better than us? Because the world, we really need a lot more good men, right? Not a few more good men, but a lot more good men. So that I have made my mission in life. So raising good men to not, raising good people that are not damaged by the binary gender system that I think every single person in this room has been damaged by, including myself.
Let's
Yeah.
give a round of applause for that. Thank you so much for being on the show, and I know we're all really excited to have you back and to be able to, and I'm sure they're dying to ask you questions, which we'll be doing shortly. But before that, we're gonna have a short commercial break. And when we come back, Tammy Wilkie's gonna be performing again as Drag King Cole, doing a new piece called Black Power, so stay tuned.
For the black people in the room, this next act may be triggering. If you'd like to leave the room at any point, please know that that's alright.
All's my life I has to fight, nigga. All's my life hard times like, yeah. Bad trips like, yeah. Nazareth, I'm fucked up, homie, you fucked up. But if God got us, then...
Where were you in 1981 in Brixton?
not be right back after a message about a white tornado, white lightning, or white people. You will not have to worry about a dove in your bedroom, the tiger in your tank, or the giant in your toilet bowl. The revolution will not go better with coke.
Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype.
Let me first of all completely condemn the scenes that we have seen on our television screens.
The revolution will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised.
Our political leaders had no idea. The police had no idea. But if you looked at young blacks...
The white press inflames the white public against Negroes. The police are able to use it to paint the Negro community as a criminal element.
The minute they see me, fear me. I'm the epitome of public enemy. Used, abused without clues. I refuse to blow a fuse. They even had it on the news.
So they can all motherfucking die till they respect me as a motherfucking man and every black man out there. They can all motherfucking die. And that's real. Until they do, more motherfuckers gonna die. As long as they got bullets, it's gonna be some justice around it. White people got...
Fuck the police coming straight from the underground. A young nigga got it bad cause I'm brown. And not the other color, so police think they have the authority to kill a minority.
There is a young man called Mark Duggan. He has parents, he has brothers, he has sisters, and few yards away from where he lives, a police officer blew his head off.
Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype.
As ever, police officers have shown incredible bravery on our streets in confronting these thugs. But it's quite clear that we need more, much more police on our streets, and we need even more robust police action.
That riots do not develop out of thin air.
I don't call it rioting, I call it an insurrection of the masses of the people.
The revolution will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised.
But in the final analysis, a riot is the language of the unheard.
They have been stopping and searching young blacks for no reason at all. I have a grandson, he's an angel.
Hey, this ain't no intro, this the entree. Hit that intro with Kanye, I sound like Andre. Tryna turn my baby mama to my fiance. She like music, she from Houston, like Auntie Beyonce. Man, my daughter couldn't have a better mother. If she ever find another, you better love her. Man, I swear my life is perfect, I can merge it. If I die, I'll probably cry in my own service.
Get your fucking hands up, I'm gonna shoot you. I will shoot you. Hands up!
Please don't tell me this, Lord. Please, Jesus, don't tell me that he's gone. Please don't tell me that he's gone. Please, officer, don't tell me that you just did this to him. You shot 4 bullets into him, sir. He was just getting his license and registration, sir.
Man, my daughter couldn't have a better mother.
I can't believe they just did this. I'm fucking
It's okay, I'm right here with you.
You know, we been hurt, been down before. Nigga, when our pride was low, looking at the world like, where do we go? Nigga, and we hate po-po, wanna kill us dead in the street for sure. Nigga, I'm at the preacher's door. My knees getting weak and my gun might blow, but we gon' be alright.
Nigga, we gon' be alright. Nigga, we gon' be alright. We gon' be alright. Do you hear me? Do you feel me? We gon' be alright. Nigga, we gon' be alright. Huh? We gon' be alright. Nigga, we gon' be alright. Do you hear me? Do you feel me? We gon' be alright.
I keep my head up high across my heart. Ain't going to die. Love me is complicated. Too afraid of life changes. I'm alright in your favor. Dark nights and my prayers.